Hi Stitchy friends, my name is Barb. I am also Stitch Brat here on Flosstube on YouTube, my YouTube channel, which is all about cross stitch. And you can also find me on Instagram. If you're an Instagrammer, I'm Stitch Brat over there as well. And I'm pretty active on Instagram. Today is Monday, September 1st, 2025, and it is a holiday here in the United States. It's Labor Day. So I thought I would take advantage of having an extra day off of work and try and get a video done today and see if I can just kind of recap my my stitching from the last month, from August. So this is Flosstube number 20, I think, which is kind of surprising to me to think that I've made 20 floss tubes, but here we are. So it's morning, it's a beautiful day. Hopefully I'm doing this early enough that the lighting won't be a problem. When it gets later in the morning, the sunlight really streams in this sun porch and really makes, you know, something like filming not so easy, but hopefully we're okay for right now. It looks like it should be okay, and I have a curtain up. So I don't have any finishes this month. I have a segment finish on an ongoing project, so I'll just start with that. I do have, I think, one new start, and then the rest are just whips. I think I have maybe 12 or 13 projects that I worked on over August to show you. So I guess we'll just get started. So I usually do what I call my seasons project. I show that first, and I'll do that again today. This is my segment finish. This is a project that I'm doing where I'm combining 4 seasonal small patterns of Carolyn Manning's together. Each of those seasonal patterns has 4 small patterns, and I'm combining all those 4 small patterns of each season together into one big project that's basically quilt inspired, because I'm arranging the blocks, I guess you'd call them, as though it were a quilt. So it's easier to show you, I guess, than to keep talking about it. So my goal is I do 1 block a month, and I started this at the beginning of the year, and I've been on track with that. So this month I finished I'll hold it up here. So here's the whole thing so far. And I finished on that second row the winter block, which is the one with the blues and greens and grays. So that's my second winter block. So I now have 2 full rows that are done. And then right underneath that is the 3rd spring block. I'll bring both those in a little closer. And that's the one I've just started. So will get done in September. If I finish 1 block early, I just go ahead and start the next one. And I do that because it's pretty easy for me to get behind on this project. You know, if you go on vacation or have a few days off for some reason. I mean, I try to work on it every day, but if you have a few days where you can't work on it, like you're on vacation, it's really easy to lose ground. So I try not to do that. I try to get ahead so that if that happens, you know, I can still keep to my 1 block a month commitment. So I'm stitching this on 18 count Aida, and it's just a piece I got, I think, off of Amazon. I actually really like it. The color is called Natural, so it kind of goes with everything, I guess. So that's where I am on that, and I think I'm going to do, so I would do 4 rows of that to have the project, quote unquote, complete, but I may end up doing a 5th row along the bottom if I don't like the look of the square. So I've actually allowed enough fabric in case I want to do one more row in the bottom. But I'm going to make that decision after I finish the 4th row, which won't be till next year. So that definitely won't be done till next year. Okay, so the next project is, my next WIP, work in progress, is another Carolyn Manning. It's my only new start for this month. And this is a stitch along she started that's brand new, and I'll put up a picture of the first pattern here. It's called Garden Trellis, and I originally wasn't going to do this because I just have too many things going on and I have too many commitments that I'm trying to keep up with on a daily or weekly or monthly basis. But gee, these are my colors, the purples and the greens, and just beautiful. And the patterns are kind of a combination of all her different, like there's some of the garden series, the elements of those, flowers, some of the shooting star elements. And I really looked closely at the first pattern and I really, really liked it. So I decided to go ahead and do it. Although I'm not going to be, this is supposed to be, she's releasing 1 block a month, and I'm not going to try to keep up with 1 block a month. But I'll show you what I'm doing here. So I did start this, I think, at the beginning, right at the beginning of August. So this is the first block, and here it is. Here's what I've got done so far. Oh, the fabric color is really coming out well. I'm going to zoom in a little here for your viewing pleasure. The only thing that isn't done is there's a little bit of back stitching, like around areas that look like leaves. So my goal on this, I've decided that I'm going to try to have half a block per month finished. So I'm a little bit short of that goal for August. As you can see, you can kind of see where the middle of the pattern is there. But I'm not too far off, so I'm going to try to complete this block by the end of September. So if I stick with that, 1/2 of a block per month, I would have this done in 2 years. So we'll see if I can do it. I mean, I'm not going to kill myself if doing it, because this is an extra thing that I knew I really didn't have time for. But gosh, it's really, maybe I'll make that my screenshot. It's really so pretty. The colors are just beautiful. So I am stitching this on a piece of 18 count Aida from Fiber on a Whim. And the color is called Celestine or Celestine. And it is the most beautiful pale lavender fabric just ever. I mean, I think I jokingly said on my Instagram that if there really are fairies and they have wings, like this is the color of their wings. But you know what I mean? It's like ethereal. It's just beautiful. I'm so happy I chose this fabric. So that's Garden Trellis, and that's where I am on the first block. So we'll see how I do in September. That'll probably give me a better idea of whether I can really keep up with doing half a block a month. Obviously, it's not difficult stitching, but there is a little bit of fussiness to it because there's quite a few colors in the entire color palette. And, you know, there's a lot of color changes. So, you know, it's not the fastest stitching in the world. But it's really fun to stitch, and I just think it's beautiful. And that's my goal for now. So half a block a month. The blocks on this, just in case you're wondering, on this stitch along, are bigger than the smaller blocks that I'm doing on the Seasons project. Now those are full coverage and the trellis project isn't, although I think I calculated the number of stitches on the first trellis block, and it's about 80% coverage, so it's not, you know, too far off full coverage. And those are 109 by 109 stitches square, and the Seasons blocks are 77 stitches square. So they're quite a bit smaller than the trellis blocks. So that's why I decided on the trellis. I really couldn't do more than have half a block. Try for half a block a month. So again, that's my goal. Okay, my next project is, or my next whip. This is Remember Me. This is by Teresa Kogut. And you will see this says September 22 Patreon. I'm a member of Teresa's Patreon, and I got this when it was originally a Patreon chart, but it has been released for sale a long time ago. And I started it right when it came out, which means that I've been working on it for 3 years, and that's pretty bad. I got to get this finished. But I did have a major milestone on this pattern this month, which is that I got that border finished. And I went even further than that. So let me show it to you. Here's where I am. I am so excited to have that border finished. It is so beautiful. It's amazing border. And then I started, I think I finished, I don't know, something up top. But anyway, I started on the house. So that roof is the roof of the house. And I guess there's not too much else to say on this one, except that I am stitching this on a piece of 37 count linen from Legacy Linen. Their linens come in kind of odd counts, and the color is called Wild Honey. And it's really pretty. It has sort of like a slightly pinkish tone to the base. It's really a pretty linen. So I'm going to try to step up my progress on that one. I'm embarrassed that it's taken me 3 years to get as far as I have, but I got to tell you, that floral border is no joke on that. That is a lot of stitching in those flowers. Okay, my next whip is relatively recent start. This is Fraktur Flowers. I'm sorry, I'm not going to take it out of the, I think you can see it pretty well. This is an older pattern by Lottie Dot anyway, so everybody knows this. This is like from 2017 or something like that. But I bought this pattern at StitchCon, and I started it at StitchCon, so that was in June. And I started it with my friend Gail. She's GW Stitch and Depot. And she and I started it together, and the funny thing is we both ended up restarting it. She ended up not being happy with her fabric color. She decided she wanted something different. And I started out using the wrong color for a bunch of elements. There's two, I mean, I guess they're technically both greens, but there's 732 and 832. And one of them is like a darker green, and one of them is like a golden green, I guess you'd say, like a golden olive green, DMCs. And I was using the wrong one. And, you know, I could have fudged it because I could have left some of the things the wrong color, but I decided to just restart it. I was so mad at myself. So anyway, I've since restarted it, and I think I showed this last month because I think I had just the border done, or maybe a little more. But since then, I've done a little bit more of the flower. And I'm going to bring this in because there's some intricate stitching in there. The colors in this, the colors that Lori used in this are really unusual. You know, there's greens inside the flower, and like this green, or this flower is actually, the outline is green, and there's red in the leaves and all kinds of stuff. But, you know, trust the process. I mean, she's an artist and a designer, and she knows what she's doing. So I think it's going to come out looking great, but that's where I am so far. So this I'm stitching on a piece of Be Stitch Me fabric. I think that I bought at StitchCon, and it's 32 count linen, and it's called Not Another Sampler. And I think I've heard Brandy say that that is one of her most popular neutral colors, and it's really beautiful. Okay. All right. This is Beachcomber by Carolyn Manning. I'll put a picture here. This I had hoped to be showing you a finish, but I'm not. I didn't quite get to it, to the finish. My husband and I went out of town for like 4 days. The last week, so the last week of August, and I had hoped to get some stitching done, like in the hotel room. It just really didn't happen. We had pretty busy days, and the atmosphere in the hotel room just really was not great for stitching anyway. But I just didn't, I mean, I tried so hard, but I just couldn't quite get Beachcomber done. So you'll see a finish next month, but not this month. But I will show you how close I am, and you will be like, why didn't you do that? So here's where I am, and that's how close to a finish I am. So you can see that one diamond shape there that's empty fabric. So I have that to put in, but then there's also, you might be able to see right to this side of it, there's some little blank triangles here and there, and some other, and there's it's not evident at first, but there's a few little triangles here and there throughout that middle of the design that have to be filled in. Honestly, it's probably 2 days work. I mean, no more than that. And I'll probably work on it, since it's a holiday today, I'll be able to stitch more than normal. There's a Tigers game, baseball game on today, so I'll probably stitch while I watch that. But I just couldn't get it done. So anyway, you'll have that to look forward to next month if you look forward to that sort of thing. I can't wait to get this done. I just think it's absolutely gorgeous. The colors are fantastic. So this is stitched on a piece of 32 count Lugana, which is what I stitch all my shooting stars on. I think the color is just blue. It might be light blue. I don't know, there's lots of different colors of Lugana. That might be light blue, but I think it's just blue. Let me see. All right. Ooh, can't reach here. Okay, next. All right, this is Act of God. I'll put a picture in here. This is a long dog sampler. And this is one of my most popular pieces on Instagram. Whenever I post a progress picture of this on Instagram, it gets more views, more likes, more comments than almost anything else I post. So I try to post as much as I can, obviously, but this is on 40 count linen, so I prefer, I can work on it at night under my lamp, but I prefer to work on it during the day. It's just super easy for me to see when I work on it in daylight. But I try to work on this at least a couple times a week, and get some progress on it. But anyway, here's where I am. Here's the whole thing. Well, there's the end, but I'm sorry, I know you can see through this linen a little bit, and I apologize for that, but I don't have my board. I don't know why I keep forgetting to bring it down here. It's upstairs in my bedroom, or the room that I usually film in cold weather. But here's where we are. That's what's done along the top. And I've been working on, I'll fold it this way so I can come in a little closer. I've been working on this, whoops. I've been working on this side. Let me move that needle minder out of the way. I've been working on this side. I've been working on those chevrons at the bottom form a big diamond, and then there's like a flower pattern within that. So I've been working on that the last couple sessions, so kind of going down. I don't really have a plan for how I'm getting this done. I'm using a paper pattern, and I really don't like how her patterns print out on paper, but I don't like having the grayed overlap being on both pages. She grays the overlapped lines, like the 3 lines or whatever, she grays them on both pages. And I always just find that, it's not confusing exactly, but I don't know, when I'm trying to go page to page, it annoys me, and so I end up taping the pages together. But anyway, so here's where I am, like I said. Okay, so this is on 40 count linen, Zweigart linen, vintage country mocha, which is one of their printed linens, but it's a personal favorite of mine. The color is just wonderful. It's wonderful for all kinds of things. And because it's a printed linen, it's less expensive than a hand-dyed linen. I don't know if it's, I mean, I've always thought it was probably maybe more environmentally friendly, but I actually don't know the answer to that. I'm going to have to find that out because I've been wondering about the printed linens. So the floss that I'm using on this, which is what people generally ask about, or the combination, is this silk floss from Silks For You, the Australian company. And I'll come in real close here. It gets the colors get a little distorted coming in close, but that way you can see the variation. They're like metallic-y looking. I mean, it's not metallic, but they're like the colors of metals from the ground. So there's like a dark gray, a coppery color, tans, and then it goes to a very dark slate gray. The number is PR 181, and the PR, I believe, designates that it's a full hank on their site. So if you want the color but you want less than a hank, like I think if you search 181, it'll bring up skeins of it. And I believe that Silks For You is still providing service to the United States. They have an agent, I think, either in the United States or, yeah, I think in the United States. And somehow they're working with an agent to do United States orders. So if you're interested in their silk, I believe it's still available to U.S. customers, which I am very happy about, because if you've never used Silks For You, it's wonderful, wonderful silk, and super economical. Like a hank is equivalent to like 30 skeins of DMC, and it's like 35 US dollars, and it's silk. It's high quality silk. It's fantastic. So if you have a big project, or just a basic color like red, one of their reds or something like that. Wonderful. Okay, my next work in progress is the Porter Ash residence. The Porter Ash residence. This is a historic house pattern from the Historic House series from Debbie Patrick. This is a pattern from, I think this one's from the 90s, but she designed in the 80s and 90s. And there's a whole series of these patterns. She did historic houses all across the United States. And I know there are people in other countries that have done similar things with houses in other countries. So, in fact, my friend Carla, Stitch Me Sane, and I started a stitch along. She started a historic house pattern based on a house in Australia where she lives, and I started this one at the same time. And it's Historic Houses, Sal, and I'll try to run that across the bottom. So that's what the pattern looks like. And I hadn't worked on this one in a while, and boy, was it fun to take it out again. I just love this pattern. All right, and here's, I'm gonna just redo this, make it a little easier to, well, make this a little easier to hold. Hopefully, there we go. So there's where I am. I mean, is that crazy realism or what? And mind you, there's no back stitching on this yet. This chart is like typical 80s and 90s charts, has millions of back stitches. Well, okay, not millions, but thousands probably. And even without the back stitching, look what she accomplished with just shading, just shades of colors. I just think it's amazing. So I finished most of those first two parts of the house, and I'm moving into that third part. And just recently I finished that foliage on the edge of the house there, and then that's like a stone. That will look much better with back stitching. It's like a stone, like little wall down there. And I finished that edge of that too. But then I decided to move into the next part of the house. So that's where I am on this. I'm stitching this on 16 count Aida from Perman Witchelt, I think. And I believe the color is called Icelandic Blue. And I chose Aida for this because of all the back stitching. Like the roof tiles, each one is like back stitched. And when there's a lot of angles like that and there's intricate back stitching, I've just found that it looks better on Aida because the holes in Aida just help make things more square. And like your back stitching on stuff like that, to me it just looks better. So that's why I chose Aida for that. But also the color is great. It's the Icelandic blue. There's a couple different blues of Aidas that Perman makes, and that one is like an icy blue. It's a blue gray almost. So it really suits. I feel like it suits the color palette of the house really well. Okay, do I have a picture of this one? No. Okay. My next whip is Strawberry Thief. I'll put a picture up here. This is a pattern from Whoopie Cat on Etsy, and if you've never seen any Whoopie Cat patterns, I suggest you go to her shop. She has some great stuff. This is another one I'm stitching with my friend Carla, Stitch Me Sane, and she bought this pattern for me for my birthday last year, and we started it. We'd both had our eye on it for a while. It's obviously it's an adaptation of a William Morris textile design, and it is charted full coverage, but you know the background is the navy blue, so Carla did the same thing. We just chose to stitch on dark fabric. So here's where I am. Well, and I'm going to fold this so that it's not see-through. Sorry. It'll be easier. There we go. Here's where I am. I don't have a ton done, I think, since the last time I showed this. I've been working on that bird, and I got to tell you, he is, I mean, he doesn't look hard, but he's got like 4 different colors of tans and oranges in him, and it's pretty fussy stitching. You really have to count and be careful. And because, you know, I'm doing on lighter colors on dark fabric, I have to be pretty careful with my stitches anyway. But this is really fun to stitch, and I'm just wild about this fabric. This is really, here's the true color of the fabric. It's a dark, midnighty blue. So the fabric is from Bestitch Me. It's a 32 count linen. It's called Blue Moon, I believe. I'm in Brandy's fabric club, actually 2 of her fabric clubs, both her colorful fabric club and her neutral. I just get them in different, counts, so I have a variety of fabrics. And her fabrics are just wonderful. So if you've ever thought about joining a fabric club but didn't know whose to do, I highly recommend hers. Her fabrics are just gorgeous. Not all of them have as much modeling as what that one does. Just, it varies month to month what you get, but I love that. That fabric is really, really pretty. Hopefully it came out okay on camera. So when I take pictures of it to post on Instagram, I usually have to do a separate picture of the fabric from Brandy's website, because it just does not, you know how blues can be on camera, and it really just does not work at all. It's terrible. I can never get it to come out. Okay, here's another one I haven't worked on in a while, but I worked on last month. This is Alice in Wonderland. Well, no, this is just maybe called Alice. No, Alice in Wonderland. Based on the fairy tale, obviously. This is a Donna Stitch pattern. And Donna Stitch is, I believe, is a Korean designer. And her patterns are available on Etsy, her shop on Etsy. And she has a whole series of fairy tale patterns, and this is one of them. And this is another one that I'm stitching with Carla. Stitch Me Same. I had not even, I don't think I'd even heard, well, yeah, maybe I'd heard of Donna Stitch, but I don't know, she got me kind of interested in these patterns, and they're basically full coverage, so they're no joke. But here's where I am on Alice. Let me, these all you can see through. I'm so sorry about that. I should have brought my board down. All right, here's that's all I've got done. So I still don't have the Cheshire Cat's eyes in there. I really need to do that. But I was working along this whole side. I was working down this side this month. And I got a fair amount done on it. But I really need to start working on some of that interior, get to some of the good stuff. I just wanted to have kind of a nice frame going. Some of the, you know, some of those big areas of solid colors. A lot of stitching in there. So I'm stitching this on a piece of Lugana, and it's white 32 count opalescent Lugana. And I mean, if you have better eyes than me, then go for opalescent Lugana, but I will not be using it again on anything. I've used opalescent fabrics. I've used an opalescent linen before, and I don't ever remember having problems. I mean, I don't have problems. It's just the opalescent threads in the fabric like really tire your eyes out. And they can make it hard to see the holes. It's like they refract the light, and they, you know, it can be really tricky. And so I try to work on that. When I work on that, I try to work on it during the day, which helps. and to not spend more than like an excuse me, and to not spend more than an hour stitching. Like, it's better to stitch an hour a day over a few days and get some progress than to try to do one big session in the evening or something like that, which just does not work. But I think it's crazy how it messes with my eyes, and I never would have thought that. But I think it also, I mean, Lugana is an even weave, so you know the threads are all perfect and they're all really close together. You know, whereas linen is more, there's variations which can make the holes easier to see, and I think that's why the opalescent Lugana is particularly difficult to see. But okay, next is, oh, I got a picture of this one. I didn't think I did. This is Quaker's Pride. This is by Historische Stickmuster. They have a website. Obviously, it's a German company. They have a website, but their patterns are also available through various other places online. And they're also, there's some app, oh God, I can't remember what it is now, sorry, because I don't use it, but there's an app where it's kind of like Pattern Keeper, except you can actually buy patterns in the app, and then, you know, you use that software to stitch with too. And I know their patterns are available through that. Anyway, Quaker's Pride, obviously a Quaker sampler. Pretty big one. Here's my threads for that. It only has 4 colors: a gray, a white, a black, and a red, which is like a wine red or a burgundy. And here's where I am. Again, sorry for the see-through. There's nothing I can do about it. So let's see. What did I do this month? Oh, that black wreath that's not quite finished. I worked on that. I've been working on that, and I did the A beside it, and then I think I finished up maybe something along that border, one of the motifs along that border. I'm trying to get the wreaths in the middle done because for me, they're much harder to stitch than the Quaker motifs, the more traditional, what you think of as Quaker motifs, you know, along the edges. Because the ones along the edges are symmetrical, you know, they have a pattern to them. And the wreaths are just really easy to miscount, a lot of tricky stitching. So I'm trying to get as many wreaths done as I can. So this is on 36 count, stone gray linen. I believe that's a Zweigart linen. And I think I had to, this is when I had to substitute some colors on. They give you DMC colors, but when I got my fabric, the gray that was called for did not go with the gray of my fabric at all, so I had to change it. And I think then when I changed the gray, I ended up, I might have changed, I don't think I changed the red. I might have changed the white to like 3865 or something too. It's hard to remember, but I mean, it's the same idea of the 4 colors. They just might be slightly different than what's called for. Okay. Oh, I don't have a picture of this one. Okay, this is Flamingos by Carolyn Manning. This is one of her shooting star designs. I have many of these going, which is why I was so anxious to try to get Beachcomber done. I've been trying to get at least 1 shooting star finish every year, if not 2. So if when I get Beachcomber done, it'll be my second one for this year, so I'm excited about that. My second shooting star finish for this year. But like I said, I have so many going that I just need to get some of them done. But flamingos, oh, how can you argue with this beautiful, look at that. Oh my gosh, the colors in this are just to die for. They are so beautiful. So I'm stitching this on a piece of 32 count Lugana, and this is from My Vintage Needle Arts on Etsy. And I'm not sure what process he uses. I think he says it's called dip dye, but the back side ends up not mottled or without color variations, and then the front has color variations, so you really can stitch on either side. But this color is called Peony, and it is so perfect for this. So I'm using all the called for colors. So somebody asked me on Instagram the other day, why do I buy beautiful hand-dyed fabrics for a full coverage design that's just going to cover it all up? But for my shooting stars, although I don't have any of them, I don't think I have any of them fully finished. Whether I frame them or whatever I decide to do with them, possibly make them into pillows, my plan is to leave a margin of at least an inch around all sides of the design, because I love the design, but I also love how it looks next to a contrasting fabric or coordinating fabric. So, you know, it would kind of act like a mat for it. So that's why I do it. Because some of the fabric will show when I have it finished. But I know that's what a lot of people obviously stitch on white fabric for these, because, you know, why not? Okay, here's another shooting star, Squash Blossom. This one I hadn't worked on in a while either. I think I started this last year. Oh, the colors on this one too are just amazing. Kind of more a fall feel on this. Obviously squash. Look at that palette. Love that. So I'm working my way toward that edge, although I see I've come down mostly on page 1. So I don't do anything strictly by pages or anything on shooting stars. I just kind of, I don't know. I don't really have a plan. I just go wherever I feel like stitching. Sometimes I complete a star and move on, and sometimes I don't know. I don't really have a plan, but that's fine. They get done. This is on a piece of 32 count Lugana again, and that yellow color is called Amber. And that is a Zweigart fabric, so it's not hand dyed. I'm not sure if that's available anymore. I had bought that years ago, actually for something else. And when I got the fabric in the mail, you know, it looked different than what it had online. And I was like, oh no, this isn't going to work at all. It's going to be too dark. So then when I decided to start Squash Blossom, I was just rooting around in my fabrics to see what I might have that would work. I was actually thinking of a green. And I saw that in there and I was like, oh, this looks like it could be perfect, the perfect color of yellow. And sure enough, I held up the threads next to it and it's just absolutely perfect. So yay on that. Okay, my last whip is another Carolyn Manning. This is called Peachy Keen, and I'll put a picture here. And I'm just going to see. Okay. All right. This is from a different collection. I'm not sure what she calls this collection. I forget now. This might be the garden series. I can't remember, but these are not real big. Here's where I am on mine. So I think I have one more of the floral motifs along the top border and then that corner motif. So I believe it comes to maybe here. So that's why I say you can see they're not quite as, and then it's square. So they're not quite as big as like the shooting stars or some of the other ones. And there's a lot of intricate little floral designs on the inside. It's just beautiful. So I'm stitching this on a piece of fabric from Bestitch Me that I got through the club. This is called Into the Veil. And this is one that doesn't really photograph that well. It looks kind of gray on camera, but it's not. It's really a beautiful green. And it does have a gray cast to it, like the modeling has sort of a gray-green, but in person it's definitely green. And I'm doing it this way because my plan is to stitch another one of these, like a companion one on this side, and maybe frame them together like that. Or I could cut them apart later. It's up to me. I mean, I don't want to have to decide right now, but Into the Veil, that's called. And that's, if I didn't say, that's 32 count linen on that. Okay, that was my last whip. 45 minutes. Hey, that's not too bad. So let's see, September plans. I don't really have any big plans for September. It's Sampler September. So I'm going to try to work on what I usually do for each month is go through all my whips, my list, and find some that I haven't worked on in a while, and then maybe some that are closer to a finish, or just whatever, and a variety of things, and I make a list. These are the things I'd like to work on this month. So I'll do that again for September, but I'll focus on samplers, and I'll have more samplers on there than what I would in a normal month, since it's Sampler September. And then see where we end up at the end of the month. And then another thing I'm thinking about doing, I actually have the pattern of this, but I don't have it readily available. So I'm going to put up a picture of a pattern. This is called Golden Anniversary. This is a Carolyn Manning. This is a broken star instead of a shooting star, which is a kind of a sister pattern. My sister's golden wedding anniversary, my sister and her husband's golden wedding anniversary is next year, I realized. And I'm thinking about making this for them. I haven't 100% committed to the idea because their anniversary is in May. So if I do it, I'm giving myself a deadline. I mean, not an undoable deadline, but one more thing to add to the things I sort of have to get done or really want to get done. And to be honest, I mean, maybe this doesn't sound very nice, but I don't really know how much my sister's going to appreciate it. She doesn't dislike handmade things or anything, but I mean, I've been cross stitching for 40 years and she still calls it needlepoint. I mean, she's just not, she crochets and she does sews and she does things herself, but she's never been into stitching. And she's just not really interested in it, and that's fine. But so I'm just not sure. I have given her a few things over the years, and I mean, I think she's liked them okay. So I'm just not sure, but I did go ahead and buy the floss, and I've got a special piece of fabric for it. So I'm thinking I'm probably going to start it. And then maybe time-wise, I'll just have to see how it goes, or I'll see how much I can get done in 1 month and see if it's doable. Their anniversary would actually be in May next year. So I mean, if I do it, I'd like to have it done for their 50th anniversary. So anyway, that's my only September plans. Other than that, not much else. So just enjoying the last few days of summer here. Like I said, it's beautiful today and it's a holiday, so we'll probably grill out. My next errand is to go to the grocery store, so that'll be right after this. So in the meantime, until I film again, which hopefully will be next month, remember to slow down and just try to take life one stitch at a time. See you next month, stitchy friends. Bye.